Paris, kingdoms take on different forms. At Wimbledon, the man most frequently atop the throne has been Roger Federer, a fitting pairing of setting and style. Federer's opponents are not so much beaten down as manicured, carefully carved into pieces with kindness and precision on fresh green lawns. Rafael Nadal's kingdom is a whole other matter. Smooth, no Regal, toss out that crown. Processional, far from it. Dominant, the numbers speak. Oppressive, now we're getting somewhere. Wake up and smell the clay. King Rafa's invader today was Juan Martín del Potro, a tenacious aspirant and owner of a rifle-like forehand, harshly flat serve and resurgent backhand. Back in 2009, Del Potro had beaten Federer in the finals of the US Open. Along the way he disposed of Nadal in the semis by the symmetrical and emphatic score of 6-2, 6-2, 6-2. That also happened to be the same year Del Potro last reached the semis at Roland Garros, losing a first-rate semi to the eventual champ, Federer, 6-4 in the fifth. Nadal, Del Potro is an amazing player. Match point from Nadal's win over Del Potro in the semi-finals at Roland Garros. The Argentine's strengths were quite apparent in the opening set, one where Del Potro frequently posed major questions on Nadal's service games. In the first game of the match, Nadal went down love 30, but eventually held. Nadal's kingdom was even more imperiled at 1-all, when Del Potro reached love 40. On two of those break points, the one at love 40 and at 30-40, Nadal revealed his deceptive versatility. On the first, he whipped an angled, cross-court forehand winner. At 30-40, a bold serve and volley, Nadal poking a forehand volley with minimal authority but at least reasonable depth. Likely more shocked by the tactic than the weight of Nadal's volley, Del Potro netted the passing shot. Another threat came at 2-all, Nadal again down love 30. Nadal avoided this crisis courtesy of two consecutive drop shots short to Del Potro's forehand. Given how far over Del Potro was camping in his backhand corner, this was a good strategy that paid its share of dividends, and in time, Del Potro's awareness of that threat heightened, opened up the court for more of Nadal's pet shot, his cross-court forehand. Then came the pivotal game of the match. Nadal served at 4-all, 15-30, anticipating Nadal's wide serve. Don't we all? The Argentine rolled a superb cross-court backhand deep to Nadal's forehand. Nadal replied with a cross-court forehand of his own, but it was short enough for Del Potro to pounce and lace a down-the-line backhand winner. 4-4, 15-40. Say hello once more to the drop shot. At 30-40, a tight Del Potro badly misfired a forehand. But at deuce, Del Potro earned another break point. As only he can, Nadal fought it off with a brutalizing inside-out forehand. At deuce, Nadal closed out a 13-ball baseline rally with a backhand cross-court winner. The next point was rare and scintillating. Nadal opted to serve and volley, but struck a forehand drop volley too deep, giving Del Potro the chance to line a passing shot at Nadal's backhand volley. Nadal lunged, spit that one back, and then clipped an angled cross-court forehand volley for a winner. And when you don't take your chances against the no one in the world, said Del Potro, you're in trouble. According to Nadal, today in the first set, for example, I was not playing great, was suffering because he was playing better than me. One aspect of Nadal's genius is his ability to see both the short term, the point ahead of him, or better yet, the ball he must play immediately, and the long-term significance of maintaining durability. Inevitable as it may seem to once again see Nadal commanding the clay, recall that, in January, he had retired in the middle of his Australian Open quarterfinal and didn't resume competing until this spring in Monte Carlo. I don't want to sound arrogant, he said following the Del Potro match. I have never been arrogant. So what I simply mean is that even though you have to remain humble, you also have to give the value to whatever you're doing. It would be even more arrogant to think that all this is normal. I have to value what's happening to me. 3 months ago, things were different. Per Nadal's belief in suffering as a redemptive aspect of the competitive process, he had withstood so many of Del Potro's barrages but now stood one game away from winning the first set. the dazzling urgency Nadal brings to crunch time surfaced marvelously here, highlighted by an opening point backhand cross-court passing shot winner, ample top spin off both sides throughout the game, and finally, at 30-40, on Nadal's second set point, a slice backhand that just kissed the line, and a high, deep backhand that Del Potro netted. So what if Del Potro had struck 11 winners in the first set? So what if in that 4-5 game, he'd gotten in all 6 of his first serves? 2 minutes short of an hour, Nadal had taken the first set, 6-4. Over the next 76 minutes, Nadal dropped just 3 more games, closing it out 6-1, 6-2. It was intriguing to watch Nadal build points against someone with as much artillery as Del Potro. Besides the drop shot to Del Potro's forehand corner, Nadal mixed things up much like a boxer, frequent wide shots to the forehand, and, even more often, savage-like forehands to the Del Potro backhand, closed out with yet another cross-court drive or, once Nadal found proper space with his body and on the court, dynamic inside-out shots. Nadal's top spin and movement turned the rectangle of the court into a circle. These weren't just body punches. This was being on one of those medieval torture racks, Del Potro's limbs being pulled to their limits. Less than a half hour into the match, the Argentine had called for the trainer to evaluate his hip. By the middle of the second set, he was looking like a shadow of the man who had started it. Reflecting on his first chances, Del Potro said, "Anyways, at least we can win a set, not the match. But Rafa is playing every point better from the beginning until the last point of the match, and his intensity varied growing up during the match, and it's tough to be there all the time." In his effort to storm Nadal's clay court kingdom, Del Potro had learned a cruel lesson: if you strike a king, you must kill him. Tennis Channel Plus features up to 10 courts of live action from Roland Garros beginning Sunday, May 27th at 5 a.m. Eastern Time. Catch up and watch all your favorite stars anytime on demand with Tennis Channel Plus. When you buy Tennis Channel Plus, your 12-month subscription gets you access to every ATP Masters 1000 tournament played outside the U.S., and every round through the finals of WTA Indian Wells, Miami and Cincinnati. The availability of matches or events on TC Plus is subject to change.